my vacation from Gas Monkey is going to be a permanent one.
Aaron Kaufman stayed quiet for years until one decision changed everything. While Richard Rawlings led the spotlight on Fast and Loud, Aaron Kaufman was the force behind the builds that made the show work. But behind the success, something wasn't right, and eventually, he walked away from it all. So why did Aaron Kaufman really leave Fast and Loud? And what has he been doing since stepping away from the show? Join us as we uncover what happened to Aaron Kaufman after Fast and Loud and where he is today, the heart of the show. Fast and Loud was never really about cars. It was about the noise, and Richard Rawlings made all of it. He bought fast, sold faster, and turned a Dallas garage into a television empire. But the noise needed a spine, and that spine was Aaron Kaufman. When the show started in 2012, Aaron was already a ghost in the machine. He spoke so little that editors probably cut his audio tracks. But put him in front of a rusted Hulk with a dead engine, and something happened. His hands moved like they had a memory of their own. Even though he couldn't explain what he was doing, he just did it and watched the car come back to life. Viewers didn't love him because he was funny or charming. He wasn't. What they loved was his realness. In a show where every handshake felt staged, Aaron grounded it. He didn't play to the camera or fake a laugh. He just worked. But here's what the cameras never showed. Before the fame, before Richard ever handed him a paycheck, Aaron wanted nothing to do with any of it. He wanted to be a park ranger, out in a quiet forest, surrounded by solitude. But that dream faded, slowly buried under his growing love for cars. By 2016, the cracks started showing. Aaron stopped smiling on camera. Not that he smiled much to begin with. He looked tired. Not the good kind of tiredness that comes from honest work, but the kind that comes from waking up every day in a place that no longer fits. Rumors started building. Was he sick? Was he leaving? No one said anything. Then, March 27th happened. Aaron walked back into Gas Monkey Garage after a break and said a few words that landed like a hammer on concrete. My vacation from Gas Monkey is going to be a permanent one. The internet lost its mind. Fans flooded forums and comment sections. Some blamed Richard. Some blamed the network. A few called Aaron ungrateful, said Richard gave him a platform. And this was the thanks he got. Aaron didn't defend himself. He just walked away. But walking away was only the first step. Behind that announcement were years of tension. Tension that had nothing to do with television schedules. The real conflict was more personal and far more complicated than any fan ever guessed. What really happened between Aaron and Richard that never made it to air? The real conflict. Most fans of the show believed that Richard Rawlings and Aaron Kaufman were best friends, or at least buddies. The cameras painted that picture. It looked like two friends with one dream, trying to redeem cars and build an empire on cable television. But the cameras exaggerated. The truth is, Aaron and Richard were never friends. Not once, not even for a single day. Richard admitted it himself in a 2018 interview with D magazine. Everybody thought we were these buddies and everything, he said. And actually, Aaron was just my employee from the time he was 20 until 2 years ago. For 14 years, the two of them never hung out outside of work. And that reality cuts against every episode of Fast and Loud ever filmed. Aaron puts it even more bluntly in that same interview. He says he sees the world very differently from Richard does. The way they interact with humans is different. Where Aaron saw people, Richard saw employees. With these two different visions, they were never going to share the same garage forever. Apart from the fact that they weren't friends, their relationship as employee and employer also suffered friction. Aaron wanted to build cars that mattered. He wanted the kind of big projects that would take months of obsessive attention and win races like Pikes Peak International Hill Climb or the Mint 400. But the show needed speed. It needed 9-day builds that could be packaged into tidy 42-minute episodes. Most of all, it needed profit, but it was a particular, specific build that broke everything. Aaron later told Autogars that the smallest, least ambitious project he could tolerate was the Pantera, but for the show, it was already too big. He wanted cars that were as big as that, or even bigger. Meanwhile, TV needed cars that were much smaller than that. To top it all off, Aaron was forced to work with a schedule that was just terrible. At one point, Gas Monkey Garage was assigned to deliver 12 rebuilds within 24 weeks. That meant Aaron had to dedicate more than 110 hours per week to meet that target. That's waking up, driving to the garage, working until his eyes blur, sleeping in a half-finished car, and doing it over again. This was Aaron's life for years, and still the cameras kept rolling. Another thing that caused issues between Aaron and Richard was that Aaron wasn't ready to play the reality TV game. Producers wanted to stage arguments. They wanted dramatic walkouts. But Aaron would not cooperate. He would simply grab a wrench and disappear under a chassis, making him difficult to film, but also the most authentic personality. These were the real conflicts bugging his daily life in the show. So when Aaron decided to walk away from potential millions of dollars in future episodes, he didn't do it without a reason. He had finally had enough. But when he finally stepped out of the brand, who was left waiting for him? The life behind the scenes. The television screen showed a man who lived inside a garage. But behind the cameras was a man who came home to the same woman night after night. Her name is Lauren Moore Knobb, and she has been by his side since 2013, long before the peak fame of Fast and Loud, and long after the cameras stopped rolling. While Kaufman rarely speaks about his private life, those who know the couple describe a partnership built on mutual respect, shared adventure, and a fierce determination to keep their world away from the spotlight. The story of how they met is pretty sweet and simple. Lauren first crossed paths with Aaron in 2013 when she visited Gas Monkey Garage for a photo shoot. Their shared passion for automobiles sparked an immediate connection, and within a year, they appeared together as a couple in a 2014 episode of Fast and Loud. That brief on-screen appearance remains one of the few glimpses fans have ever gotten into Kaufman's personal life. By profession, Lauren is a professional photographer with a keen eye for capturing moments through her lens. Her work focuses on lifestyle photography, often using natural light and avoiding the stiff, posed aesthetic of traditional portraiture. Beyond photography, she has also worked in sales and marketing, and she has been described by those who know her as fiercely independent and deeply supportive of Kaufman's demanding career. She has accompanied him to car events and races around the world, from New Zealand to Iceland to Mexico, always staying in the background while Kaufman did what he does best. The couple lives together in Dallas with 2 pit bulls, Lola and Bastian, whom they treat like children. When it comes to marriage, the couple has kept their plans private. Some sources report that they married in a private ceremony in 2020, while others insist they remain happily unmarried and in no rush to change that status. Aaron's road from Gas Monkey Garage to ArcLight Fabrication was paved with more than just creative differences. It was paved with things that go back to the very beginning. Where did Aaron Kaufman actually learn to build cars? And what did he sacrifice to become the mechanic the world thought it knew? The self-taught, obsessive mechanic. Aaron Kaufman didn't learn how to build cars in a classroom, and he certainly didn't have a father or an uncle who handed down tools and taught him the secrets of car mechanics. The truth is much stranger and much harder than that. Everything Aaron knew, he taught himself. When he was younger, he would buy broken vehicles and tear them apart in his father's driveway, trying to figure out how to put them back together. The first car Aaron ever bought with his own money was a 1967 Ford Mustang that barely ran, with an engine that knocked like a neighbor demanding quiet. A sensible person would have walked away from such a car, but Aaron dragged it home to Bedford, Texas. He had no manuals, no YouTube tutorials, so he simply took the Mustang apart piece by piece and laid every bolt on a tarp in the driveway, sorting out how the parts fit together, making mistakes, and trying again and again until the engine finally turned over. That process took months, and though the engine still knocked, the car moved. At some point, he moved on to automotive shops that paid him minimum wage to do fluid changes. The first professional shop that took Aaron seriously was called the Hot Rod Shop in Dallas. The owner would throw him the worst set of jobs, oil changes, tire rotations, but Aaron didn't complain because that grunt work was more like his admission fee. He stayed late every night to watch the real mechanics work, asking no questions but taking in every technique with his eyes. One night, a master fabricator left a Teague welder on the bench. Aaron had never touched one before, so he picked it up and burned a hole straight through a piece of scrap metal. Then another hole, and another. By morning, he could lay a bead that, even though it wasn't pretty, was functional. Aaron has admitted in several interviews that his self-taught method has cost him hundreds of cars over the years because he learned through experience. But one thing he always said was this: he never made the same mistake twice, because the memory of the first mistake was too expensive to repeat. The downside of being self-taught became very obvious when Aaron started building race cars for events like the Mint 400. Professional racing demands tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch, welds that can pass X-ray inspection, and engine maps that require a computer science level of understanding, none of which a driveway mechanic learns naturally. So his first few race cars were slow, not because he lacked drive, but because he lacked the formal knowledge he needed. But instead of giving up, he found the smartest people in the room, watched them like a hawk, and taught himself while other mechanics were asleep. Aaron's lack of formal credentials also explains why he rarely gives technical interviews in the way other master mechanics do. He might not always say the right words, but he can feel the right thing. And ever since he left that world that forced him to talk, what has he been up to? Life after the split. In October 2017, the Discovery Channel made an exciting announcement. Aaron Kaufman was going to return to television. Even though this time it would be without Gas Monkey Garage attached to his name, the new show was Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman, and it was going to film inside his own shop, ArcLight Fabrication, with his own crew and on his own rules. Fans who had mourned his departure from Fast and Loud were happy, believing they would finally see the real Aaron Kaufman without drama. But what those people didn't know was that Aaron himself had been reluctant to come back at all, and an executive producer had to convince him repeatedly after he had resisted. On March 5, 2018, Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman premiered, and the first episode made Aaron's mission clear from the onset. He let everyone know he was taking things in a different direction, that he was going to be designing aftermarket truck parts, building unique vehicles he had always wanted to build, and that he was going to have more fun doing it. The goal was to find a vehicle that sparked a new passion, build it with no corners cut, and then test it to destruction in a real race, like the King of the Hammers or the Race of Gentlemen. It was exactly what Aaron had always wanted, but there was a problem. The problem was that pure love for building does not always make for compelling television. As soon as the first few episodes of Shifting Gears began to roll out, critics noticed there wasn't the same energy or chaos that made Fast and Loud a hit. Some even said the show was boring and lacked goofiness. Shifting Gears limped through 2 seasons and 12 episodes before disappearing without any official cancellation announcement from the Discovery Channel. By the time the show ended, Aaron seemed almost relieved and told his friends that he was done with television for good. That promise lasted about 6 months. In July 2019, Discovery Channel premiered a bizarre new experiment called Aaron Needs a Job. The show sent Aaron to try his hand at other mechanical, dangerous, or physically demanding professions to see if he had what it took to survive outside his comfort zone. The first episode sent him to train with the Green Berets, where he ran obstacle courses and endured psychological pressure that broke stronger men than him. While he passed the physical tests, Aaron admitted on camera that he could not handle the mental strain that came with it. Other episodes came, and none worked for him. But then, the 4th episode was stunt driving, and finally, something clicked. Aaron was able to drive cars off ramps, flip them on purpose, and crash them into barriers without flinching. And that was the only episode where he looked genuinely comfortable. Why? Because it was the only one where he was holding a steering wheel. That show ran for 6 episodes, and then, like shifting gears, it vanished again, with no second season and absolutely no explanation. The message was clear. Aaron was a brilliant mechanic, but a terrible reality TV star. What these 2 failed shows revealed was that Aaron never wanted to be famous. And when the cameras finally stopped rolling for good in late 2019, Aaron simply went back to work at ArcLight Fabrication and did not look back. Now that there is silence, what kind of life has Aaron built for himself? The road ahead. Ever since the camera stopped rolling on Aaron Kaufman, what remains is something far simpler and more honest. ArcLight Fabrication, the shop Aaron founded after leaving Gas Monkey Garage, hasn't updated its social media accounts or website in years, leading some fans to wonder if the business has gone dormant. But Aaron's personal Instagram tells a different story. The shop is still running, still turning out aftermarket parts for the classic Ford F-100 that Aaron loved most. Aaron has become a regular competitor in some of the world's most demanding motorsport events. The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, a race up a mountain where the air thins and engines fight for oxygen, has been a recurring obsession. He first tasted Pikes Peak in 2013 or 2014, driving a fully built 1963 Ford Falcon while still at Gas Monkey Garage, and the addiction never faded. In the years since leaving television, he has returned to the mountain multiple times, each run an attempt to shave seconds off his personal best, not to win anything except his own respect. The Mint 400, a brutal desert race held in the Nevada wilderness, is another annual pilgrimage. Unlike the controlled environment of a racetrack, the Mint 400 throws everything at a driver: rocks, sand, heat, mechanical failures, and the simple exhaustion of hours behind the wheel. Aaron has entered the race both as a driver and as a crew member, preferring the hands-on chaos of the pits to the isolation of the driver's seat. The racing has also led to unexpected collaborations. In 2021, Aaron worked as a mechanic for Checo Perez during his Formula One events. He has also partnered with MagnaFlow, a high-end performance exhaust manufacturer, appearing on their podcast to discuss his approach to building and driving. On that podcast, he talked about learning without formal training, developing a mindset rooted in problem-solving, and why simplicity and reliability still win over complexity. Those are the words of a craftsman who has never stopped learning. According to multiple estimates, Aaron's net worth sits somewhere between $6 million and $8 million, accumulated through television appearances, his fabrication business, racing ventures, and a clothing line called Speed Society that caters to automotive enthusiasts. While it isn't as much as Richard Rawlings' money, it is more than enough for a man who never wanted to be rich in the first place. Aaron has also made a change that still surprises fans who have not kept up with him. The trademark beard is gone, And that's okay because the fans who only knew him as the bearded sidekick on a reality show have mostly moved on. What remains is a smaller audience of people who care about the work itself, not the fame that once surrounded it. And that, for Aaron Kaufman, is finally enough. Do you think Aaron Kaufman will ever return to reality television? Or is the life he leads now better for him? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.